It's Monday, November 27th. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we will learn about the Center for Corporate and Professional Education at Cape Cod Community College with Michelle Constantino, and then we will talk with Consumer Affairs Officer with the Barnstable Police Department, Therese Gallant. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. The 25th session of Inside Barnstable Town Government, a Citizens Leadership Academy, will begin Tuesday, January 30th. The Academy is an 11-week commitment with the goal of educating the citizens of Barnstable about the operations of town government while also obtaining valuable feedback and participation from those citizens that are taking part in the Academy. To date, over 700 Barnstable residents and employees have participated in the program. The classes will be on Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 9 p.m. and will be held in various locations throughout the town. The program is free of charge and open to anyone who resides or works in the town of Barnstable. Class size is limited, so please register early to avoid the waiting list. Applications are available at the town manager's office or online at townofbarnstable.us. The town of Barnstable recently announced the Hyannis Homebuyer Assistance Program. Eligible first-time homebuyers may receive up to $75,000 to purchase a home as their primary residence in the village of Hyannis. Assistance is provided as a zero-interest deferred payment second mortgage loan. Home buyers are required to invest a minimum of 1.5% of the purchase price of the home. To learn more, visit townofbarnstable.us/HHAP. Mass DOT is continuing their roadway improvements at the intersection of Route 28 and Burses Way. The next phase started last week and will continue until December 1st. During this phase, the eastbound lane of Route 28 will be detoured south on Burses Way, down Walton Ave, and then back out onto Route 28. Traffic during construction will be delayed and motorists are advised to seek an alternate route. The Town of Barnstable's Public Health Division will hold a flu clinic at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center on Thursday, December 7th from 2 to 4 p.m. The clinic is open to town residents only and the fee is $3. For more information, call the Health Division at 508-862-4644. Up next, we'll learn about the Center for Corporate and Professional Education at Cape Cod Community College with Michelle Constantino. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. You're from the Center for Corporate and Professional Education at Cape Cod Community College. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Oh, sure. We are really a wraparound resource for professional education, professional development for individuals and for companies, businesses, nonprofits in our region. So we cover the Cape all the way to Plymouth and then to Wareham. So I like to say we're the region's best kept secret, especially companies don't realize that this is a resource for them, and it's a really vibrant, active department of the college.
Wonderful. Well, let's make sure at the end of this interview people know all about you and what you guys
Great.
offer.
Wonderful.
What are some of the challenges facing employers these days when it comes to the workforce, especially here on Cape Cod?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I came on to the college just a little over 3 years ago. We started to realize that there were growing needs for employers in the region, and we have seen a huge shift in the labor market. It's very tight now. I think most anybody is experiencing that, whether you're an employer or you're looking for a job or looking to change careers. The job market's so different now, and it's tough. It's tough to find people who have the skills that you need as an employer. I'm the employer relations manager, so I always think of this from the employer's perspective. Mm-hmm. But it's also an exciting time where people are starting to change careers, things they've always wanted to do. Because there's more opportunities, they're coming at their education a little bit differently. So it can be tough because it's hard to find the right people, but at the same time it's a really nice opportunity for people to start to move up or to take on new roles or maybe even change careers. The other real challenge that a lot of my companies are dealing with is the aging workforce. I'm working with some companies right now that they have senior leadership that's ready to retire. They're ready to go, but they know if they leave, there's not somebody to come in and fill that place. So we work with a lot of companies on succession planning where we're helping them develop their people and move people through management programs and leadership programs to kind of take that place. But then that leaves a gap at the entry level. So that's a lot of what we're seeing is really a focus on building skills. The other thing, which is the good part, is companies are growing. Nonprofits are growing. All types of businesses they're growing. They're having opportunities to move into new markets. Sometimes they don't know what to do with that success. It's one of the most dangerous times for a company is when all of a sudden you become very profitable and very successful. Do you have the right people in place? Do you have the right skills at that top level of leadership all the way down? So we're really changing and shifting constantly right now to try to meet those needs and those demands and help make sure that our employers are successful.
Wonderful. And what kind of programs do you offer employers to help them with all of these issues?
So there's a lot. So I'll try to condense it as much as I can. Generally, when a company says, "What do you have to offer?" I say, "What do you need?" It really is that unique for every company. We have what we call community education or the schedule classes. So we offer 80 plus classes in the fall and winter, and then another winter and spring in all different topics, everything from gerontology and leadership to marketing, computer classes, just all different types of programs. We have a couple of new things that we're doing, again, based on what people are asking for. Project management has become a huge thing. So we have a project management class, 3-day intensive. It's never been offered on the Cape before. Coming up in December, I'm looking at my cheat sheet, December 5th and 7th. So that's an example of a really intensive program that we're doing. In the spring, we're focusing a lot on management intensive programs. So it really ranges. There's also, and I'll talk a little bit later about some of the funding that we're working on, state funding that we're trying to get into the region. But one of the great programs we were one of only 2 community colleges awarded the Direct Access Program. So that was over $100,000 grant that offers free training directly to employees.
Wow.
So we have our last round of that, the last 5-6 months, starting in January. Again, all the information, I'll give you the website and all that later. But the value of that is $1,000. If you run through the whole thing, it's completely free.
Wow.
And the great part, I'll talk about it in a little bit, is that if you find out that we go through a real simple process. We work with Commonwealth Corporation that manages that trust fund. If you're eligible for that, it means you're eligible for all the other programs. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful program for our area businesses. So those are all things that are scheduled. Anyone can attend them. Companies can send employees. Really flexible and a lot of options. What I work on is the contract training side. So I work directly with companies. So I'll sit down with an employer. It can be 5 people. It can be 500 people. We sit down, we do kind of a needs assessment, what's going on, how can training help you, what makes sense. And again, it can be all different things that we can bring to them. We work with close to 90 experts as corporate trainers, so we have this huge pool of people that we can pull from and help develop a customized program that we actually offer on-site to their employees.
Wow.
Yeah, so and all community colleges do this. All my sister community colleges do this, and people just don't know. They don't realize this is an option for employers. So there's really we look at it, we're a wraparound service, whatever that need is. If you need continuing ed credits for your social workers, or you need entry-level computer training, or you need change management for your leadership, we have those resources and we can put that together and create it for you.
Wow, that's so amazing. It's
so
such a great
exciting.
Resource here.
I know.
I mean, every time I do one of these interviews with the people that work at 4Cs, I learned more and more what you guys do just for the community outside of being a community college. There's just so much.
I know.
And you also do a lot of work with nonprofits.
We
which
do.
Is huge here on Cape Cod.
Huge here. And we're starting we do programs that are specific for nonprofits, you know, that are, and we work with other community or organizations, put different programs together, things that are, you know, the tried and true, grant writing and those type of things. But what we're finding is our nonprofits are coming into our more traditional business classes. So management in nonprofit and management in corporate America are very similar, or can be. They're taking a lot of the same computer classes, a lot. So there are things that are specific to nonprofits, you know, working with a board and, you know, those type of things. But also a lot of our other classes are hugely beneficial to our nonprofits. And we're seeing so many nonprofits invest in their people now and invest in training, and they're starting to see that there's potential, and they're growing as well. So it's really across the board. We're seeing a lot of the same situation with them.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Now we've gone over so much stuff.
Yep.
Now let's go over how people can get in touch with you. You know what the website is. Let's go over all that
Sure.
stuff.
Well, can I mention one other?
Oh, yeah,
do we have
of
a minute?
course.
One
Yep.
other quick thing. I want to make sure that our employers know how many resources, how many fund sources are available for workforce training. We work very closely with the state and with Commonwealth Corporation. They have over $20 million a year that they give directly to employers who are investing in their people. So that's one of the services we offer as well, is once we have an idea of what the training needs are, we'll sit down with the company, we'll figure out what resources are available to them, what they would qualify for, and we actually will even help write the general grant, which is the largest grant, is $250,000. We're in the process now with working with 5 different companies who are writing general grants.
Wow.
For over 6 figures, and it's exciting. So that's a huge piece. People, even small companies, are really intimidated sometimes by training, or they think they can't afford it. There's programs specifically for small companies, and there's ones for the larger companies. So, you know, happy to sit down with anybody and kind of talk them through it, walk them through it, and even kind of hold their hand all the way through the whole process, because we want those funds flowing into our region. That's a huge part of our mission as a community college.
Wonderful. Okay, so now let's tell people
how
they can find out more information on all of this amazing
There's so much,
stuff.
I know. Well, you certainly can call me, Michelle Constantino. My email address is mconstantino@capecod.edu, 508-364-0923, 508-364-0923. I never call myself. I always have to think. The best thing to do, though, is the website. It's just capecod.edu. And at the top, there's a professional and career tab.
Yep.
Click on that. All the information's there. How to get in touch with us. Main number, 508-375-5013. That'll get you into our division, and we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming in
All right.
and
Well, thank you.
telling us all about this. I hope that some of our viewers get a lot out of this, and some of the business owners on the Cape will take
That's what we want.
advantage.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My guest today is Michelle Constantino. She's the Employer Relations and Contract Training Manager for the Center for Corporate and Professional Education at Cape Cod Community College. Now let's meet Officer Therese Gallant. She's the Consumer Affairs Officer with the Barnstable Police Department. Therese, thank you so much for joining us today. You are the Consumer Affairs Officer with the Barnstable Police Department, and you work with the Regulatory Services Division. Let's talk a little bit about your background before we get into what exactly it is you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, by the way, for having me here today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. So started at Barnstable Police Department almost 20 years ago now. Had a number of different positions there. Rode the mountain bikes out on Main Street, worked in detectives for a period of time, patrol. I was a field training officer. It's been a wonderful career, and this is kind of like the icing on the cake for me, if you will. Not a traditional type of policing role, and but it was something that came up, and it seemed like a really good opportunity at the time.
Okay.
So started over there in June of last year.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do. You kind of facilitate the police department with the Regulatory Services Division, kind of making sure everyone's on the same page. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Okay, so it's kind of evolved as I've been over there, and we started off, so I'm the Consumer Affairs Officer, so technically I'd be working for the Consumer Affairs Division, working with Liz Hartsgrove, Maggie Flynn over there. Richard Scally's in charge of Regulatory Services, And what I have found is I've kind of go between all these entities over there, and it's actually been a very enriching, if you will, opportunity. So, for instance, yesterday, I'm on my way home, and I get a phone call from the station, and they're asking if I'm available, which at that point I wasn't. So, what do you have? Tell me what's going on. And they basically were looking for some assistance. They had gone into a house. They were concerned about the number of apartments in this house, and if there were some maybe Board of Health concerns, that type of thing. So based upon the information they gave me, they told me the fire department was already on their way. I reached out to building and zoning, and they very quickly and promptly, and I really appreciate all the efforts that they do, they came over and assisted the guys, my guys, out on the road with the situation that they were dealing with, and vice versa. There are complaints or concerns that come into regulatory services, building division, or Board of Health, Consumer Affairs Office, and I'm asked if there's anything that I can do to help facilitate or assist with that. Now, some of the stuff, I'm responsible for myself, and it's a learning process for me as well. I'm learning on the curve. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, challenging, which is good for me. And so I think that, with the complaints and things that come in, we use each other as resources, if you will.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's great that they were able to call you and you were able to hook them up with departments and the people that they needed to talk to. I think that's an important, instead of just kind of, kind of making things up as you go along, or just kind of being like, oh, we'll deal with it tomorrow. It's like you knew who needed to be called.
And to be honest with you, a lot of our guys, and this is on me, part of what I need to do is get back to the station and speak to my folks, the PD, and kind of let them know what's available for them. Because, I look back on things that I've encountered over the years. I didn't know that these, it's not to say I didn't know, obviously, that we had a building division and we had regulatory services, but I wasn't aware of all the things that they do and the services that they could provide to us,
right?
And vice versa. So it's been very cool learning these opportunities and options, creative options, to kind of help fix these problems that we encounter on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, kind of bridging that gap between the two things.
Absolutely.
What are some of the bigger projects you've worked on? I know that you guys have done the underage sting operations, and that includes restaurants and liquor stores.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I did my second one this year, my second operation. I'll be honest with you, I try to stay away from the word sting just because it has such a negative connotation to it. I've used it as I often refer to it as the compliance operation. And the reason is because the premise of doing that is to educate our license holders out there. Chapter 138, Mass General Law Chapter 138 addresses alcohol issues for the state. I'm up on some of them. As a police officer, I was not aware of how detailed they can be. And it's been, again, a learning curve for me as well, and working with these businesses. So the underage operation, we did one last year. We just finished our operation this year. We have a couple more things that we're going through relative to that operation. But that started we addressed it through a licensing meeting that we hold specially for on-premise licenses and off-premise licenses. And we did that in April of this year. And an announcement is made at that time that we would be conducting our underage operation in the year 2017.
Yep.
And then from there, we started posting things. We are required, we have to do a public notification through the media. We do that. We did one through Channel 18, I believe.
We had a slide up,
exactly,
letting everybody know it was coming.
Thank you very much for your assistance on that.
Of course.
We also put one up on the Consumer Affairs page, licensing page as well. So it was plastered and everybody was well informed. But people, word gets out. They know it's coming. Part of when I do my presentation, and I know in the past, like Steve Marr would do it, Steve Esty has done it as well, we discuss what we're looking for. We go through the compliance guidelines. We're going to have somebody who's going to be under the age of 21. They're not allowed to look older. We don't make them look older than they are. It's very basic. It's very straightforward. They don't go in with identification. They are provided funds by the Barnstable Police Department. They're under observation from the time they go in to the time that they come out. And all we're looking for is the businesses to do their job, which is ask for ID. If someone looks like they're underage, you should be doing your job and asking for ID. So we kind of go through that with the meetings that we hold. And it is not meant to be punitive, if you will. It is meant to be educational. It's to remind people this is your job and this is what we expect of you. What I have found is that managers, the owners of the businesses, they get it. They understand, and they understand the importance of this. And it's not to say when people, we find them not compliant, that they don't understand the importance. It's an honest mistake. It's not willful, it's not malicious, it's not intentional.
Right.
So we're not looking to punish people, but we are looking, I equate it to, when in the meeting I would be like, it's kind of like you're getting the answers to the test before the test actually takes place. So if there is a failure on the test, then you're brought to, let's say, the principal's office. In this particular case, you're brought before the licensing authority to address what happened and to make sure that it doesn't happen again in the future.
And I'm sure that you, the police department, would love it if everybody passed.
Oh my God.
You are not looking to catch people. You are just doing, like you said, it's a compliance check to make sure that they're following the rules. If everybody passed, you guys, I'm sure, would be over the moon.
I would be absolutely thrilled. And I've said that at the meetings. My hope is that, the next year, obviously, that we have 100% compliance. This is an operation that requires, Lieutenant Mark Cabral is part of the process. He ends up filing a lot of our paperwork for our grants that we receive to support this. He assists me with, he's the driver, he's the overseer, and then of course we have our underage operatives. So we used 2 girls this year, one was 20, one was 19. And you're right, I look at it as when the kid comes out and they've got change in hand, which means a transaction took place, I am bummed.
Yeah.
I really am. Because I have to go in and speak to somebody. And again, not willful, not malicious. And they're upset usually, and they're apologetic, and they're concerned what's going to happen from here. And we try to alleviate those types of issues and those types of concern. We speak to firm, but we're not here to, lay down the law, if you will.
Right.
We want to make sure just that people remain compliant and that they're aware of their responsibilities and that we take it seriously.
Yeah. It's a very serious issue, and it's important that everybody takes it seriously. And I know that I am so glad that you guys do this, because it's underage drinking is, it's an issue. So
well, it's a huge problem, and one of the things that we had addressed at our compliance at the meeting in April of this year was the stats relative to that. We know that underage drinking, that those that kids that drink that are underage have a tendency, there's criminal activity that's involved with that. I'm not saying every case, but oftentimes, obviously future addiction issues that we're concerned about. Are there problems that are going on that are being masked by the fact that they're drinking, and other things that we need to be looking at to address those. Those are all the things that run the gamut. And we don't want future alcoholics. We want healthy kids who are part of our community and thriving and moving on and doing good things for themselves,
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to make sure we let our viewers know about before I let you go today?
Just a couple of quick things. So part of my position, not only just doing obviously the alcohol compliance checks, a lot of the things I do as well as work with the Class 1, Class 2 auto dealerships, weights and measures taxis, private parking lots. I work with a wonderful group of people over at 200 Main Street who provide such services to this town, and it really has been enjoyable getting to know everyone over there. I'm thankful again for that opportunity, and like to be a dork, like a shout out, if you will. So I couldn't have done this obviously without the support of the Barnstable Police Department. So with the chief, the 2 deputy chiefs, Deputy Chief Sonneman, Deputy Chief Balcom, I've had the opportunity to work for both. Lieutenant Murphy, he's an appointed to the board by the chief. He helps me with a lot of the stuff coming my way, particularly as a newbie.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is the road I want to go. What do you think? I appreciate all the folks out there, the businesses that I deal with. They've been very patient with me. It's been a learning curve for all of us. I look forward to continuing to grow in this position and assist them, and myself, obviously, in accomplishing the huge things that we want to do here.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank you very much for having me.
I really appreciate it.
I do too.
My guest today is Consumer Affairs Officer Therese Gallant. Now let's take a look at this week's community calendar. On Wednesday, November 29th at 6:30 p.m., the Cotuit Library presents Mary Chilton Winslow, survivor of the Mayflower Voyage. Listen to Joyce Prince discuss the story of her recent book about Mary Chilton Winslow, a passenger and survivor on the Mayflower. This program is free, but please register at cotuitlibrary.org/events, or you can contact the library directly. At the Barnstable Senior Center on November 30th, you can learn how to make a pair of earrings at their jewelry earring party from 1:30 to 2:30. North River Home Care will be sponsoring an earring party. There will be hundreds of different beads to choose from and for you to creatively put together. various bead combinations, and make your own personal earrings. There is no skill required, and guaranteed everyone will make a few pairs of earrings by the end of the class. Make and wear your masterpieces or give them to friends or grandchildren as presents. Be sure to sign up early and reserve your spot by calling the Senior Center at 508-862-4750. The limit is 12 people for this class. Now let's take a look at this week's board, committee, and commission schedule. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new show for you. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.